there's thunder, there's lightning. John Notto. Last month, I was able to get back to my hometown area. I was there for a memorial service for my grandfather, who I had mentioned in one of the last programs had passed away in October. And it was while I was down there that the realization really hit me much more tangibly than it had in the past. You see, as I've gotten older, I have noticed a lot of things and a lot of changes. But it really brought things home, so to speak, to realize the many people that I've met over the years, friends and even family members, that have exited my life in one way or the other, be it, due to them passing on or simply just losing touch for one reason or another. And I had mentioned before how a prophet is not welcome in his hometown. We've all heard that saying. See, it was really weird to see how everything had built up and there were so many new businesses, so much more traffic. And yet there was this sense of sameness. There was this sense of familiarity. The best way I could describe it would be if you took a cowboy from the Old West in Tucson, Arizona, and brought him into present-day Tucson. Sure, there'd be things that were familiar. There would be things he would know and recognize. But there would be something foreign, the buildings, the roads, something not quite right with his surroundings. And so it is, one of the truths that I've learned in life is that as you get older, things start leaving. People start going. Things change. I was talking to a friend of mine a few nights ago, and this was a friend I had mentioned in a previous program that I had a falling out with. Well, we have since been able to mend the fences, forgive each other, and go on. He's a little bit older than me, but his lamentation was not that different from lamentations that I'd had in the past. That is, where are all these people that I used to know? Where are all these friends that I used to have? You see, it's taken him some time, but he has realized that many of these people have gone their separate ways. You might even say they've gone their own way. And after all, why should we be the only ones going our own way? But with that realization comes another realization. That is that of people are not a reliable source of happiness. If you're expecting your happiness to be tied into or to come in the form of another person, you're going to be sorely mistaken throughout life. You see, you can say happiness is a great many things. Happiness is perhaps even subjective. But I can tell you that tying your happiness to others is always going to be a recipe for disappointment. And so that is one of the biggest things about MGTOW. You see, we've heard all of our lives about how we'll never be happy without a relationship. We'll never be happy unless we're married. And you wonder if spiders and praying mantises hear a similar thing in some way, shape, or form in their life. It's not that human relationships are that similar to spiders and praying mantises, especially in terms of the reproduction game. But you see, there's a difference in the way that works in the human reproduction game. No, the man's head is not removed, but oftentimes his very soul is excised from his body. Just when I've thought I've learned everything I can learn about MGTOW, I'll have a new thought pop in from time to time. Something that is very intuitive, something that is very simple, but yet I've never thought about it before. You see, when people ask, what's the difference between men and women? You get a lot of different answers. A lot of them are biological in nature. Sometimes we hear that there's differences in the way men and women think. We've even heard that men and women have different types of brains. But the realization I came to in terms of the main difference between men and women is that of effort. You see, in order for a man to find a relationship, marriage, love, whatever you want to call those things, he has to do a lot of things. In fact, MGTOW talks about all those things. He has to be a certain height, has to make a certain amount of money every year, has to have a house and a car, and it helps if he's in shape. But yet many women merely need only to exist, and not even exist necessarily in the most eye-catching of forms. And that's the difference. Men have to bring it all to the table. Women just have to show up. This is something fundamental about MGTOW that we've all learned by this point. But it's the simple things that keep us sharp. It is the simple things that focus the eye and keep us moving through the forest. You know, it seemed like a couple years ago, around about 2015, MGTOW and MGTOW Thought was seeing a surge in popularity, a surge in content creators, a surge in interest. And as the years went on, 2017, at least from my perspective, seemed to be the height or the golden age of MGTOW information and the availability of MGTOW thought. And after that, it seemed to go on a decline. And we have seen somewhat of a decline in those things as time has gone on. We've lost many of our content creators, many of our greatest minds, Proteus, Vincent MGTOW, Archangel. But we've also lost a lot of content creators due to the censorship that has taken over the internet. And it's interesting to think that many of us would not know about MGTOW. Many of us would not have the answers to life or the answers to what is going on were it not for the internet. Many guys have come and gone. Monkey, Big John, they're still out there, still making content, but they're no longer on YouTube. And I don't have a huge following, but I have always kept in the back of my mind that one day the censors may come for me as well. I'm not worried about that though, because I think that I've gotten a lot of the information out there to you guys, and I hope that it's been of help to many of you. And if one day they do come for my channel, there will simply be another rise up and take its place. I'm thankful for channels like Stardust's and Humans, which we still have to guide us through the fog. And as time goes on, we'll have more channels and more content creators. But the message will always remain the same. You see, many people prefer known hells to unknown heavens. But it's only in the willingness to take the risk, it's only in the willingness to give up the security that you can have true freedom. It's only in going your own way that you'll find your destination.